You think it's a conversation. It's not. It usually starts quietly. A text message late at night, a comment across the kitchen table, a small sentence that shouldn't turn into a fight. You gather your courage and say, "That hurt me." And instead of reflection, you get a trial. They question your tone, your memory, your intention. Within minutes, you're defending yourself for even having feelings. If you've ever walked into a conversation hoping for connection and walked out feeling confused, guilty, or somehow wrong for speaking up, this is important. You're not in a normal conflict. You're in an asymmetrical one. You think you're trying to solve a problem together. They're trying to win control. That difference changes everything. Because when you bring vulnerability into a power game, you don't get understanding. You get leverage used against you. And the more empathetic you are, the easier that leverage becomes. So, before we talk about strategies, we need to shift one core belief. The goal is not to win the argument. The goal is to stop playing the wrong game. Pause for a second and ask yourself, have you ever left a simple conversation feeling like you just survived something? That feeling isn't weakness. It's your nervous system recognizing manipulation. Why logic makes it worse? Most empathetic people respond to tension the same way. They explain, they clarify, they try to bring more logic, more detail, more context. But here's what's happening psychologically. High conflict personalities often operate on reinforcement cycles. When they provoke you and you react emotionally, they get a reward, attention, energy, proof of influence. It becomes a dopamine loop. They push, you react, they feel powerful. The behavior gets reinforced. This isn't about them being cartoon villains. It's about behavioral conditioning. If a behavior consistently produces a reward, it continues, and your emotional reaction is the reward. So, when you write long texts explaining yourself, when you defend your character, when you argue for fairness, you think you're bringing clarity. But in this dynamic, you're bringing fuel. This is why logic fails. You're trying to repair connection. They're trying to maintain control. Different goals, different games. And once you understand that, you stop improvising. You become strategic. The detachment protocol. Detachment doesn't mean cruelty. It means you stop feeding the system. The gray rock method is simple in theory. You become emotionally uninteresting. Neutral tone, minimal reaction, no extra explanation, not cold, not hostile, just flat. Why does this work? Because of something called extinction in behavioral psychology. When a behavior stops being rewarded, it weakens over time. But here's the part most people aren't warned about. Before a behavior fades, it usually intensifies. This is called an extinction burst. Imagine pressing a vending machine button and nothing comes out. You don't walk away immediately. You press harder. You shake the machine. That's what happens when you stop reacting. They escalate. They try sharper words, stronger accusations, more dramatic claims. Not because your strategy failed, because it's working. If you react during that escalation, you teach them something dangerous. I just need to push harder. So, holding steady is crucial. But gray rock isn't always socially practical. If you work with them, co-parent with them, share family space, you need something more refined. Strategic communication. This is where strategy replaces emotion. First rule, no JADE, never justify. Argue, defend, explain. Explanations feel productive. But in high conflict dynamics, they become ammunition. The moment you say, I didn't mean it like that, I was tired, because you've given them two new attack points. Your intention, your circumstances. Instead, we use structure, brief, informative, friendly, firm. A simple example, they text, "You're unbelievable, you ruin everything." A strategic response, "I'm not discussing this over text. If you'd like to talk about the schedule, let me know." It's brief. It provides information about your boundary. it stays neutral, and it closes the door on drama. If the situation requires ongoing communication, like co-parenting or work, you shift to what's often called yellow rock. It's gray rock with social polish. You respond to logistics only, not the insult, not the emotional bait, only the facts. On paper, you look cooperative and reasonable. Energetically, you give nothing away. And that protects you from another common tactic, narrative manipulation. High-conflict individuals often rely on how situations look to outsiders. When your responses are calm and structured, their chaos becomes visible without you needing to expose it. You don't win by attacking, you win by staying consistent. Gaslighting and protecting your reality. Now we get to the most destabilizing tactic. Gaslighting. This is not just lying, it's rewriting shared reality. It never happened. You're imagining things. You're too sensitive. Over time, this creates cognitive fog. You start second-guessing your memory, your tone, your interpretation. You begin to outsource your reality to them. That's dangerous. So, you create anchors. After intense interactions, write down the facts. Date, time, exact words. Not emotional commentary, just data. Because when someone tries to rewrite history, memory under stress is unreliable. Documentation isn't paranoia, it's stabilization. There's another layer most people ignore. Somatic validation. Your body often knows before your mind does. If someone's words sound calm, but your chest tightens. If they say, "I care about you," but you feel sudden exhaustion, that mismatch matters. Your nervous system detects threat patterns faster than conscious thought. When words and body sensations conflict, trust the body. It evolved for survival. Gaslighting works best when you override your own internal signals. So, stop overriding them. Reclaiming your mind. Dealing with toxic dynamics isn't about defeating someone. You won't. You don't out-argue a system built on control. You outgrow it. Detachment is not coldness. It's discipline. Strategy is not manipulation. It's self-respect. You are not weak for being empathetic. But empathy without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. When you stop feeding the supply, when you stop explaining your existence, when you stop defending your right to feel, something shifts. The conversations get shorter, the chaos loses intensity, and most importantly, the space inside your head gets quieter. That's the real goal, not silence from them, peace inside you. So here's the final reflection. Which trap have you fallen into most? Over-explaining? Trying to fix them? Doubting your own memory? Write it down. Awareness is the first act of detachment. And if this gave you even a little clarity, stay with this work. Because the moment you stop playing the wrong game, you start winning your life back. I'll see you in the next video.